We've lost 64 officers in the line of duty so far in 2023, 31 by gunfire, which is easily the leading cause of line of duty deaths. Over the past week, we've lost 2 officers. We're going to talk about those 2 officers as well as 3 officers that were injured by gunfire this week as well. Sergeant Edwin Maldonado Garcia, the Puerto Rico Police Department in Puerto Rico, end of watch Wednesday, July 19th of 2023. Sergeant Edwin Maldonado Garcia was struck and killed by a vehicle on the expressway in Puerto Rico at about 8:15 p.m. He was in uniform and driving to work when he observed several citizens attempting to rescue a kitten from the middle of the highway. He stopped his vehicle and assisted, but was struck by an oncoming car as he tried to grab the kitten. Sergeant Maldonado Garcia had served with the Puerto Rico Police Department for 37 years. And was assigned to the Internal Security Division at police headquarters. He is survived by his wife and child. He was 56 years old. And he was the first officer this year to die from being struck by a vehicle. Deputy Sheriff David Bosecker of the Eastland County Sheriff's Office in Texas, end of watch Friday, July 21st, 2023. Deputy Sheriff David Bosecker was shot and killed while responding to a domestic violence call along Highway 183 between Cisco and Rising Star. As he arrived on the scene, a male subject opened fire on him, fatally wounding him. Other responding officers took the subject into custody. The man was charged with capital murder. Deputy Bosecker had served with the Eastland County Sheriff's Office for 2 years and had served in law enforcement for 21 years. He had previously served with the Wise County Sheriff's Office, Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission, Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, and the Comanche Police Department. He also worked as a part-time Marine Enforcement Officer for the Cisco Police Department. And he was the 31st officer to die from gunfire. And this is Cody Pritchard, the suspect accused of fatally shooting Bosecker. He's being held in jail at this time, currently without bond. And we're going to go to Chicago, Illinois, where we had a law enforcement officer injured. And of course, whenever it's Chicago, you have to read a police statement because they don't do news articles for a lot of this stuff. On Monday, July 24th of 2023 at approximately 7:30 p.m., Chicago police officers assigned to the 7th District were conducting an investigatory stop on an occupied vehicle in the 5600 block of South Shields. The vehicle reversed, striking a squad car. During the incident, officers discharged their firearms. The occupied vehicle fled the scene. An officer sustained a gunshot wound to the hand and was transported to a local hospital in good condition. No one is in custody. Detectives are investigating. Currently, the specifics of this incident, including the comprehensive use of force investigation, are being investigated by the Civilian Office of Police Accountability with the full cooperation of the Chicago Police Department. The officers involved will be placed on routine administrative duties for the period of 30 days. The matter remains under investigation. So that he got shot in the hand, and it sounds like he was not hurt badly in the incident. Okay, let's go on to Ringgold, Georgia, where we have a victim that was killed, and our law enforcement officer was injured, and our suspect, who was a relative of the victim that was killed, is a 72-year-old adult male, and he was also killed in this incident. Catoosa County Sheriff Gary Sisk confirms that the active shooter standoff situation at 98 Summit Drive in Ringgold has come to an end with 2 people deceased. The sheriff advised his deputies were dispatched at 5:40 p.m. Friday evening to a domestic in progress involving a gun with shots fired. The sheriff said when deputies arrived, the 72-year-old suspect immediately fired upon them. The sheriff said during the gunfire, one deputy was grazed by a bullet. Sheriff Sisk said, I did have one officer that got grazed by a bullet. We thought he had been shot more seriously, but upon closer inspection, he was very lucky. During the incident, the sheriff said the man fired shots at department drone and that gas was deployed during the hours-long standoff. Sheriff Sisk advised when deputies made entry into the house, the 72-year-old man, who he did not identify, was found deceased inside the residence, suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The sheriff reported that deputies arrived. They also found the son-in-law dead in the yard. The sheriff advised that the 72-year-old was also involved in a similar domestic incident, which involved SWAT in 2017. Okay, so not his first time. Sheriff Sisk said they requested assistance from the Georgia State Police, Troop A SWAT team, and have contacted the GBI to assist with the investigation. When asked, Sheriff Sisk said these type of domestic calls happen far too often and are very unpredictable. He said his deputies train for these types of situations very often and said, "We are happy and glad that no one else was hurt. We're sorry for the family." So this guy, this 72-year-old guy, he tried this, 6 years ago and was in a similar situation. And it says his son-in-law was dead in the yard and he ended up taking his own life. And fortunately, the officer wasn't injured in the incident. But that just shows you, they go on these calls and he just showed up and the suspect, the 72-year-old guy, just immediately starts firing upon them. Didn't even give them a chance to get situated. So let's go to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where we have a law enforcement officer that was injured and another suspect that was killed. This time it's Emmanuel Galvez Campos. We'll see what he was up to. An Albuquerque police officer was shot in the arm, and the alleged shooter was killed when a standoff erupted in gunfire Thursday afternoon at an apartment in the foothills. Albuquerque police chief said that the officer who was shot has already been released from the hospital. He said a bullet went through another officer's pant leg but did not strike him. Police Chief Medina did not identify the suspect who was killed, but said he was in his 20s. He said the suspect had a felony warrant related to a gun charge out of Santa Fe and was also a person of interest in an Albuquerque homicide. Medina said around 2 p.m., police tried to arrest the man at the Copper Ridge Apartments near Copper and Tramway. He said the operation was part of a clearing the warrant backlog. Medina said the man holed up inside the apartment and the SWAT team was called to assist. He said that at one point, relatives exited the apartment and told police a 2-year-old was inside in some kind of distress. Medina said that led the SWAT team to try to go inside the apartment. He said the suspect opened fire on police and at least 2 officers returned fire, killing the man. Medina said they wouldn't have identified the man until the next of kin had been notified. The New Mexico State Police was assisting the Albuquerque Police Department at this time. State Police Chief said that he had just left the funeral for the Alamogordo officer who was fatally shot last weekend when he got the call. Wow. It's very unfortunate. 20 minutes after leaving that to get this call, he said, it's obviously upsetting, a sad deal to have this incident happen immediately on the heels of that. This year, Albuquerque police have been involved in 8 police shootings, 4 of them fatal. Wow. Last year, the department had a record high of 18 police shootings, with 10 fatal. Albuquerque's a really bad city. I think it came in the top 50 most dangerous cities in the world. And I'm thinking it came in the 20s, like around 23 or something. I might be off on that by a little bit, but it came in the 20s as one of the most dangerous cities in the world. Albuquerque has been going downhill for a while, and that's unfortunate. But at least the officer was okay in this one. But they had 18 last year, and they're at 8 right now. We're a little past the halfway mark of the year, so they'll hopefully come in under that. But they're at 50% of the shootings they've had this year have been fatal, 4 out of 8. All right, well, that's all I got for you this week, but I'll be back next week with more of these line of duty videos. If you like this kind of video, hit that like button and maybe leave a comment. And just to let the YouTube algorithm know that this is a video they should be sending out. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing, and I'll catch you on the next one.